أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم بسنتهم الدين أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters in Islam. Our topic today is, as you know, is about the Sulh of Hudaybiyah, how it became a turning point. And we have been saying from the beginning of Ramadan that on these Saturdays we will not go into the details of the actual event or incidences, but we will learn from the lessons and from the wisdom of those lessons that how did they serve the purpose of a turning point for the Prophet ﷺ and also a turning point of Islam in that particular aspect. So our topic today is how is the peace treaty, the Sulh Hudaybiyah, became a turning point for the Muslims and a turning point for our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. 2 Saturdays ago, when we talked about the migration, the hijrah of Rasulullah ﷺ, how that was a turning point for the Muslims and himself. And then, inshallah, today we'll talk about this peace treaty. As you know, this peace treaty was signed by the Prophet ﷺ along with the kuffar of Mecca, of Quraysh, in the 6th year of hijrah. And as we know, the incident, that the whole background was that the Prophet ﷺ wanted to perform Umrah, and he had gone there totally armless, no weapons or ammunition with him, and they had gone in Ihram. So when they went in Ihram over there, the Quraysh of Mecca, they stopped them in this place of Hudaybiyah. That is where it was. And they were camped over there, and they were in tents. And that is where the Meccans, the Quraysh, said that you cannot do Umrah this year. You have to go back like this to Medina. And next year you can come back and do Umrah. Apparently, if you look at it, it looks like a negative thing. It is something that is against your will. You know, Prophet ﷺ, along with like 1,500, that's a lot of people, 1,500 people along with the Prophet ﷺ in Ihram, in the heat of Mecca, as we know. Many of us have gone for Umrah and Hajj, and we know in Ihram, when you are in the scorching heat in Ihram, how difficult it is. So they are camped over there, and they are waiting, and they are told to go back. And the shara'it, the conditions of the peace treaty were also negative. Because first negative thing was, you cannot do Umrah this year. Even though you have Ihram and you've come with your family and everything, you have to go back. Second negative thing was that there will be a ceasefire. Because, you know, before this peace treaty, many battles were fought. Many ghazwat were fought between the Quraysh and the Muslimin. So the peace treaty was that for 10 years, there will be ceasefire, no fighting. And then other negative aspects of the conditions were that anyone who leaves Medina and comes to Mecca, the Meccans will not return them back. They will hold them. However, if anyone from Mecca goes to Medina, you have to return them back to Mecca. So apparently the peace treaty was like a one-sided deal. And that is why the Muslims were a little bit shell-shocked. That how is Rasulullah ﷺ signing this peace treaty when everything is negative in it? But of course, Rasulullah ﷺ was a prophet. He had wahi, he had intuition from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he, as the ulama of seerah tell us, that one of the major reasons why Rasulullah ﷺ signed this peace treaty is that it will give a stop measure on war. War is never good. So the first thing that we understand in the turning point, how things become a turning point, you know, in today's world, in this condition that we are living in the world today, that everybody is negative about Islam, specifically about our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, they attack him and they blame him and they accuse him. Some non-Muslim writers have even written that Muhammad ﷺ was a warmonger. You will find this online, many different websites, even in many books about Muhammad ﷺ that the Westerners have written to defame him. One of the accusations they make on the Prophet ﷺ is that he was a warmonger. A warmonger, by definition of Webster Dictionary, is someone who loves to fight and wants to initiate fight and wants to continue fight. That is what a warmonger is. Someone who is always looking for an opportunity to engage in battle, in war. Sulh Hudaybiyah, peace treaty of Hudaybiyah, is the biggest answer to all these critics, to all these false accusations and blames that people make on our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that he is a na'uz billah, astaghfirullah, warmonger. If the Prophet ﷺ was a warmonger, why would he sign a presumably apparent negative peace treaty? Because you are being stopped from performing Umrah. Imagine how would you feel, I hope it doesn't happen to any one of us, but imagine how would you feel. You paid like $5,000, $6,000 here, you get on the plane from JFK, you land on Jeddah airport, and the Saudi authorities, they close. They say, sorry, you have to go back to JFK, New York. You can't perform Umrah or Hajj. How would you feel? Because for days and weeks you were preparing the luggage, the baggage, you paid money to the airline, to the tour operator, everything, and you land at the airport, and right there in your face, someone says, you can't go, because it is my land, my country, my wish, my will. You have to go back to New York. And I don't care about the $5,000 that you paid for that. How would you feel? Rebellious? What else? Give me the emotions that will go on. Visualize you are in ihram, you can't curse, you can't yell, scream, shout. You are in ihram, the conditions of ihram, and you are not being, through the airport immigration, you're not being let go. You're told, get on back on the next flight back to JFK. What emotional quagmire would your mind and mental state would be in? Come on. Roza laga hua kya? Yes? How would you feel? Mad, yes. But at the same time, you can't express your madness. You can't say a single word. If you say a single word, your ihram, conditions of ihram, and your niyyah of umrah goes away. So you feel mad, good. What else you feel? Give me some emotions. I'm trying to extract answers from you. You feel angry? Yes. What else would you feel? You'll be feeling frustrated, you feel disappointed. And at the same time, what would you feel? Meaning your mouth is shut. You can't say a word. You can't curse. You can't say a bad thing. You can't even say to that Saudi with the 2, 3 stars on his shoulder, I'll slap you or I'll punch you or something. You can't do anything. You're restricted with ihram, and at the same time, the person in front of you is testing your patience by saying, go back to your country where you came from. Hey, this one fits right? They can say, go back to your country where you came from. Saudi is my country, you can't come. Okay, enough with the suspense. How many of you read books? 1 person, 2, 3. See, our Muslims are very little in reading books. If you ever get a chance, do read this book. Okay? It's called Mental Toughness. It's written by Harvard Business Review. There are many psychiatrists, psychologists that have written articles. There are 10 articles in this book. And this book tells you how to be mentally tough, how to have resiliency in times of adversity. And when I was reading this book, subhanallah, when I was reading this book, every line, every word, every sentence that the authors have written in this book is like a direct page from the seerah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From the direct page of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam seerah. We have the seerah Rasulullah. We have a whole book in our front of us in Islam. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. His book, his life is an open book. And these Western authors from Harvard, Harvard is an Ivy League, we all know what Harvard is. When we look at this book, a $25 book, whatever is written in here, about 99 pages or 100 pages, every single sentence and word makes sense. And if you connect with Quran and Sunnah, you see that it's the life of Rasulullah. Mentally tough. Turning points. The reason I bring this book into this discussion of this incident of Sulh Hudaybiyah, that Rasulullah did not at all show any emotional distress when he is told you cannot do Umrah. This is not just one author who's written. This is a compilation of different articles, research articles done by Harvard scientists. So there are 10 articles in here. So there's at least about 15 authors who have compose words. And subhanAllah, the words that they say, how can a leader be mentally tough in terms of adversity and calamity to cajole and counsel and mobilize and inspire his followers? One of the things that they write in here is, embrace adversity. You know what that sentence means here? Embrace adversity. You are smack in your face, you are in front of adversity. You're told you cannot do Umrah, you have to go back. And take your 1,500 people back with you. And you're not entering into Mecca. So you have to embrace. Meaning, alright, we can't do it, we can't do it. What good would it be to show my emotions of frustrations and shouting and yelling and madness and anger? Rasulullah, the way he conducted himself in the time of Sulh Hudaybiyah, as Imam al-Buti writes in his book of Seerah, that you can understand the resiliency of Rasulullah, that when Ali ibn Abi Talib, the cousin and son-in-law of Rasulullah, who knows how to write, and he was writing, he was the katib, he was the writing, and he wrote that this treaty is between Muhammad Rasulullah and the Quraysh who was there. They said, no, la na'arifuhu Rasul. We don't acknowledge him. We don't know him as a Rasul. Right, Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Ali ibn Abi Talib dropped the pen. He said, I can't do that. Not because I'm his cousin, not because I'm his son-in-law. I love Rasulullah. In my love of Rasulullah, I cannot dare write with my own 2 fingers with a pen. You're telling me to erase Rasulullah? No, he is my Rasul. I can. He declined. Now here is the resiliency. See, this is what we're talking about, turning point. A leader is someone who's very, very far-sighted. A leader, this is what the Harvard scientists are saying, that leaders do not run on emotions. Leaders take stock of the situation, and they think at that time, even in that adversity, they think at that time, what is best, not for me, but what is best for who? For the ummah. Despite the fact that Rasulullah was a prophet and he has receiving wahi, even as a leadership skill, he said that, look, if they want me to let go of this word Rasulullah, so be it. And so this is where the seerah writers, the historians, Mu'arrikhin have said that this is the point where Rasulullah asked Ali Rizwan, because he was ummi, he did not know how to read and write. He was an ummi, that Allah said in the Quran, هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم. He is the one who is sent amongst the ummi people, amongst the people who don't know how to read and write, a prophet minhum, from them. So Rasulullah asked Ali ibn Abi Talib, where have you written? He said, here. So Rasulullah himself erased it. With his own blessed hand, he said, okay, I erase it. Now Ali, write what he's telling you to write. So when Ali Rizwan saw this direct order from Rasulullah, he wrote. And look at the composure. Is Rasulullah angry? Is he red? Is he mad? No, he's cool as a cucumber. Even more than that. Totally cool. Ali ibn Abi Talib is with emotions. He's upset. He dropped the pen. I'm not going to change this. I'm not going to write this. But right there, his leader and his father-in-law and his cousin is saying, look, calm. Leadership is all about emotional stability and farsightedness, hindsight. जिसको हम उर्दू में कहते हैं दूरंदेश. A qaid is someone who is दूरंदेश, meaning someone who is looking far ahead of the game. He's not looking at the initial thing. That is when you bring turning point in the life of a nation, a qawm. When you don't react, but you act. So he said, okay, I will do that. And he did. Second point we learned in this incident, that when the treaty was done and signed, and now it was time to go back, Rasulullah told the Sahaba that were there that shave your head, open your ihram. We're not doing Umrah, but we will consider as if this was. The niyyah was there, our niyyah is counted, we accept. So now release your ihram, get your clothes, and we're going back. Not a single person moved. He said it a second time. Not a single person moved. He said it a third time. Nobody moved. Defiance? No. Hasha lillah, astaghfirullah. How can we even think about the Sahaba doing defiance to Rasulullah? They were in a state of shock. This shows you the emotional aspect, that they could not accept the fact we are going without Umrah. We want to take off ihram without Umrah. So they were in a state of stunning shockness. And that's one of the things that the author said here. When you embrace adversity, when you embrace calamity, what he means by that, this Harvard scientist, by embracing means you mentally make yourself realize, I cannot change this situation. So now what is the best thing I can do in this situation to make the most of it? So that I can at least get some benefit out of it. That is what he's saying, embracing adversity and calamity. So in this situation we see, if we look at it from the seerah point of view, is that Rasulullah is saying, fine, we couldn't go. We have made a treaty that we'll come back. So I know for sure next year I'm coming. If I have to let it go now, Rasulullah did not make it an ego issue. I am a prophet of Allah, I'm a Rasul, I brought 1,500 people with me, what am I going to tell them? What face am I going to show them? No, all of this he put all on the side. He was looking what is better for the ummah. And mind you, he did not see a dream, a khab. He did not see anything about the future that Allah is telling him, that sign the treaty and I will make things better for you. No. Until the signing of the treaty, he did not know anything about the mustaqbil, the future. Not a single thing Allah told Rasulullah about the future. Until he was riding the camel going back to Medina, then Allah gave him the future. You know which surah was revealed at this point? Huh? Surah? Surah Fatah. Inna fatahna laka fatham mubina. Subhanallah. When these first, he was shaking and shivering as some of the symptoms, not symptoms, but some of the kayfiyah of wahi was, some of the experience of wahi is, Rasulullah will be shaking and shivering. The Sahaba were there, they saw that the camel stopped, Rasulullah is sitting and he's shaking, shivering. They knew he's receiving wahi. And the first 6 or 7 ayats of Surah Fath were revealed at this point, and then immediately he started reciting. As soon as he received the wahi, being an ummi, he immediately recited. This is the beauty and blessing of being an ummi, that your intelligence and memory quotient in the brain, the frontal lobe, is very high. You listen to things once and you memorize it. Look at the Huffaz, how they memorize Quran. Yes, people say that the Huffaz, they memorize Quran looking at it, but they memorize much better when they do their girdan. Memorizing the first time is looking. Girdan is what? They're reciting it to somebody and somebody's reciting to them. So they're listening and they are reciting. The tongue and the ear, these are the two things that the ummi people are the best at. And it makes better. So he recited to the Sahaba. And as some of the riwayat say, that they began to cry. Tears. Not crying on the ayah, but crying that look how we were so short-sighted. We were being upset. We were not compliant. This and that. And now Allah is informing Rasulullah that this treaty is a victory. What kind of victory? You didn't go to Mecca, you didn't perform Umrah, you're going back without Umrah, you're taking off your ihram. What is this victory? But Allah is saying, this is victory. The fact that you have forced your opposition to accept you as what? Not just that, as a force to reckon with. Why do people do treaty? The word treaty, peace treaty, apparently it has negative connotation. The first thing that comes to our mind, our brain is, treaty means har mange. Treaty means surrender. Treaty means you have given in. Treaty means that you have accepted your defeat. No. Rasulullah is intelligent. He's far-sighted. He has the hindsight. He knows that this treaty will one day bring victory, because this treaty will at least stop all these wars and opposition. And as the historians have written, the Mu'arrikhin, the people of Seerah writers, that this treaty was the biggest turning point in the small Islamic community of Medina. And the reason Rasulullah signed this treaty, so that he can have some peace. Because wars, one war after another, Badr and then Uhud and then Khandaq, one war is finishing, another coming. One finishing, another. It does not give you time. During this peace treaty, It gave time to Rasulullah to spread the message. He wrote letters to the Qaba'il, to the villages, to the people. He wrote letters to the kings of the palaces of Egypt and Persia and the Byzantine Empire. It gave him time to start communicating to people. And fighting and war was making him busy and engaged, entangled, that he could not do these other work. So he knew that the treaty will serve two purposes. This treaty will be a turning point. Number one, it acknowledges that you as a nation, as an ummah, are a force to reckon with. You are not something that somebody can squish you, crush you, ransack you easily. The moment the words got out, as the historians have written, the moment the words got out that the Muslims have signed a treaty with the Quraysh, Ahlul Quraysh. The Quraysh had a very high stature in the peninsula, Arabian Peninsula. All the Qaba'il, all the people, the tribes, and the other warlords in Arabia, they used to know that Quraysh for them are a very high status, high ranking people. And they don't do treaty with anyone. They love war and they just want to do war. So they knew that. So when they got the news that the Quraysh have done a treaty with Muhammad and the Muslims, that means there must be something serious. So now they became inquisitive, curious. What is in this message of Islam that it forced the Quraysh to do a treaty? And so that is why when the Sahaba were shell-shocked and stunned, and Rasulullah was puzzled, they are not disobeying Rasulullah. We can never even think about it, that the Sahaba would disobey, rebellion against Rasulullah. They were just in such an emotional shock, stunned. You know how somebody, the best I can explain this is, how somebody, you come to someone and you tell them, your father died, your mother died. You say it as it is, without sugarcoating anything. You just say, oh, your father just died. How will that make that person? And you see sometimes that the person to whom you gave the news, you expect they'll start bursting in what? Cry. But they don't. They're like stone. Say, hello, I told you, your father died. And they're like, their eyes are like totally fixated. They're stunned, they're shocked. And you're telling them, your father died. Many times doctors say, make this person cry. As much as crying is bad, when somebody's crying, what do? Do you make them more cry? Or you stop them from crying? What do Darul people do? You make people cry? Simple question. If you see somebody crying, you'll go there and pinch them more, say, beta aur ro. Come on, cry more. Or you're going to say, no, what's wrong? Let me make you quiet. But there are certain times when doctors, physicians, psychiatrists, they tell you, make this person cry. Since they got the news that their father died, their mother died, they haven't cried. A single tear hasn't come. This is bad for their soul. Have you heard about that? Have you ever heard like that? I've seen many times. The doctors have said, this person must cry or he's going to go in coma. Or he's going to lose his brain. Make him cry. So now everybody's around him trying to make him cry. Subhanallah. Ulti ganga veri. Instead of making people stop cry, you now have to make forced cry to save their life. The reason I bring this example, that person who's not crying, they could not fathom, they could not absorb the news. My father died, my mother, they're in shock, stunned. The reason I brought this was exactly the situation of the Sahaba. When they got the news that we have a peace treaty, we're not going for Umrah, they're stunned. Rasulullah is telling, shave your head, take off your ihram, we're going back. They're stunned, they're shocked. Not a single person moved, as the Murakhin write, the narration at this time. So what did Rasulullah do? He was puzzled. As a leader, what can you do? And at this moment, he went inside the khayma, the tent. And with him was his wife inside, Salama. And he said, I am telling them, and they're not doing it. What should I do? He's seeking advice, mashwara, shura, from wife. And look, Salama at this moment gave a beautiful advice, the wife of a leader, the wife of a prophet. That is why you should always ask your wife, what should we do? All right, brothers? Remember that. Seeking advice from wives is very important. Not just in difficult situations, but all the time. In fact, take it from me. I've been married for 20 years. To have a happy life, you should always seek advice from her. Otherwise, you will not find peace. So if it's good and beneficial, yes, you have to. Like Rasulullah did. Salama said, Ya Rasulullah, you go outside, you do it first, and I'm sure they will follow you right away. And that is exactly what the historians, Mu'arrikhin, have written in the Seerah. That Rasulullah came out of the tent, he asked one person to shave his head. He took off his ihram. Others began seeing that Rasulullah is shaving his head. Suddenly there was a wave. 1,500 people, like a domino effect, everybody got up and everybody started shaving their head. Moments ago, nobody was moving. Moments ago, everybody was shocked and stunned. What's going on? Suddenly they see Rasulullah shaving his head. Everybody came out of their shock and into obedience. So this is what we're learning, that turning points come when the leader of the time has emotional stability, has mental toughness. Like this book says, mental toughness. The more mentally tough you are, the more you will be able to absorb and digest situations and make the right decisions. If we read every single page of this and look at this incident of Hudaybiyah, we see that every single thing is book by book, page by page similar. As if it was a script out of a book that Rasulullah was following. He showed his resiliency, he showed his mental toughness. He did not at all get emotional with the reaction of what the Quraysh were doing. And he rather showed the Muslimin that, look, you have to have the upper hand. And you have to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger reward, recompense you would get. Did they know that 2 years from Sulh Hudaybiyah, did they know that they'll be liberating Mecca? No. Not even Rasulullah knew about this. Allah did not even tell Rasulullah that you will be liberating Mecca. You will have Mecca in your hands 2 years from this Hudaybiyah. Just sign it. No. Allah was testing the patience, testing the resiliency of Rasulullah and the Muslim Ummah. And when they signed the treaty and they're going back, on the journey back on the camel, he's getting the ayah, Inna fatahna laka fatham mubina. We have definitely given you a big victory. Fatham mubina, very big victory. Through this Hudaybiyah, you got a big victory, O Muslims, O Islam, because you will see how this will bring about a change in life. And we see the turning point change that it brought in the people. They went back, and the next year they came, they performed their umrah. So all their emotional things that they had previous year, they were able to fulfill and finish in the next year. And then a year later, the treaty was broken. Because the treaty was, whichever side will break the treaty, the other side will have the right to charge upon them, to declare war upon them. And as you know, in the incident it was written that the treaty was signed not just between the Quraysh and the Muslims, but even between the allies. Meaning that one of the clauses of the treaty was, anyone who is an ally of Quraysh, anyone who is an ally or friend of the Muslims of Medina, if between them also someone attacks the other, that means that the treaty is broken. In other words, you are friend with somebody and your enemy is also friend with somebody. Your enemy's friend attacked your friend. You say the treaty is broken, now we have to. And that is what happened in that time. That one of the tribes that were friends with the Muslims in Medina, they were attacked by a tribe that was the friends of the Quraysh. The news got to the Quraysh, and the Quraysh began to get scared. Oh no, we have broken the treaty. And now Muhammad ﷺ will be coming to Mecca. That is when Abu Sufyan himself traveled all the way to Medina to beg and plead and beseech Rasulullah ﷺ that no, let's continue the treaty. I asked forgiveness on behalf of that Qabila. Please don't come. Please don't break the treaty. And Rasulullah ﷺ said no. This is mental toughness. He said no. As much as Rasulullah is rahmatul lil alameen, as much as he forgives people, as much as he pardons people, at this moment he became rock solid, like a cliff, like a stone. He said no. There is no maafi, there is no pardoning, no af. You guys have broken the treaty, we will now be marching down to Mecca. When? We don't know. But you have broken the treaty. And Abu Sufyan is begging. Abu Sufyan is going to Abu Bakr. Abu Sufyan is going to Umar. Abu Sufyan is going to this Sahabi, that Sahabi. Please, can you plead? Can you make sifarish? Can you intercede for me? And all the Sahaba are saying, hey, we can't do anything. We can't even open our mouth in front of Rasulullah. You went directly to him, he refused. There's nothing we can do. So Abu Sufyan is now scared. He knows that this is a big breach of treaty, and this will be the death for the Quraysh, because now Rasulullah has the whole right to attack upon the Quraysh because they broke the treaty. And that is exactly what happened. In the 8th year Hijri of the Hijrah, 8th year, Rasulullah began to march down to Mecca, but he kept it secret. He only told a few of his close confidant Sahabas. And he told all of them that start preparing your bags. And he said, we have a long journey. We're going somewhere. So people started preparing bags. As we know, there were 10,000 Sahaba, 10,000 people that marched with Rasulullah in the Fatah of Mecca. And they were coming down towards Mecca. But in all this time, Rasulullah kept it a tight lid on it, as secret as possible. This is strategy of a commander of an army, strategy, war strategy, that we learn from Rasulullah. Rasulullah is not just a prophet, he's not just a teacher and a mentor and a murabbi, he's also a commander-in-chief. He's also teaching from his character, from his adat, from his habits. He's teaching how Muslim leaders should use intelligence, how they should prepare strategies to engage in active altercation, engagement with an opposition, so that you have an upper hand and you can be defeating. Meaning, as much as he is a mild, humble personality, but in times of adversity, he is also rock solid and stone. So we see that at this moment, even though Abu Sufyan is pleading him and begging him, he says no. He doesn't move an inch. This is the same man who 2 years ago signed a peace treaty which apparently was presumably a negative towards Muslims. But now he knows this is his opportunity. This is now his chance. Because he said to Abu Sufyan, when you guys came for treaty, I signed it. Even though my Sahaba were against the treaty. Emotionally they were not satisfied. But I signed it. Now you have broken the treaty. I haven't. You should have known better and controlled your allies, control your qabail who were engaging in these different areas. You should have known that, Abu Sufyan. And Abu Sufyan is like, he's so scared. Now, can you imagine why he's scared? Because he knows that by this time, Muslims have grown so much. Remember, 1,500 people in the time of Hudaybiyah. In the time of Fatah Makkah, how many? 10,000. What's the ratio? Double? Triple? Huh? Almost 7 times they have grown. So now you tell me better than anyone, was this treaty beneficial for Muslims or not? If they didn't sign the treaty and they were to continue in warfare, they wouldn't have had a chance to grow so much. So the treaty helped them grow. How is it a turning point in the life of Muslims? It allowed them time to regroup and refocus on the bigger picture of spreading Islam, the da'wah, the message. Now, what is the lesson for us? How can this incident be a turning point for us? Like I said, if you ever get a chance, you can get this book. It's available at any online, Amazon or Barnes & Noble, anywhere. It's a very good book. I really recommend, even for personal life. Regardless of whatever position, you read this book. This is the cream of the cream from Harvard that have written on mental toughness. There are 10 articles in here from professors of psychiatry and professors of Harvard who have given tips from different individuals' lives how you can be mental tough in times of adversity and calamity. And one of the things that he says that a turning point comes in your life. This is what these people are saying, and we see this in the Seerah of Rasulullah. He's saying that no person can fully groom themselves as a beneficial individual, as a person who is very pragmatic and productive and successful, unless they learn from their adversity and adverse situations. They don't learn lessons from it. And that is what we see, that Rasulullah taught the Muslims of that time a lesson, and for us even, and for Muslims that are going to come till Qiyamah, we learn a lesson in this adversity, that yes, the treaty was bad for them, but it was good in hindsight for them, because it taught them how to learn and grow and groom themselves further in times of difficulty, in times of pain and grief. And that is what a person grows. So the turning point in our life is that when we are faced with any calamity, when something negative happens in our life, instead of reacting and agitating and irritating and responding to it in a negative way or going into depression, anxiety. This is what the authors say, that 90% of the people, when they're faced with any kind of adversity, calamity, they go into depression, anxiety. They start taking drugs and medicine. And they live on medicine because now they have lost everything, lost hope in life. And this is what the author is saying, that successful people in life are those who in times of adversity sit down, make a strategy, make a tip. How can I get out of this situation? How can I turn around this situation and from adversity to prosperity? How can I change this calamity, this negative thing in my life into something that is good and that will groom and make me better? With more skills, with more talent, with more ability, with more agility, with more, what you call intuition for better life. You see, brothers and sisters, the reason we're learning this seerah turning point is that we as Muslims, we always go through negative things in our life. Whether it's a loss of a job, whether it's loss of business, whether it's loss of a loved one, whether it's an accident, loss of a limb, a hand or leg, whether it's disease, sickness, suddenly someone finds out they have cancer, they have tumor. So how can we turn around this calamity, this sickness, this disease, this negative news into positivity? And that is what Rasulullah ﷺ is teaching in this turning point of Sulh Hudaybiyah. That he totally revolutionized the whole thing. He totally turned it around 180 degrees. That 2 years later from Hudaybiyah, 2 years from the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, he is now having the keys of the Kaaba. He is now opening Mecca, liberating Mecca. And how it can be a turning point for us is that at the point of negativity, when you are in the lowest of the low, this is what the Harvard scientists say in their articles, and this is what Rasulullah is teaching us in his lifetime, in his seerah. He's saying, when you are in the lowest of the low, all the Sahaba were feeling low, that, oh, we are not going to Mecca, we're not going to perform Umrah. They were all so shocked that, oh, they were not shaving their head, they were not taking off their ihram, they were so much in shock. At that lowest point, their leader, their qa'id, their role model, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, lifted them up. How? He said, nothing is lost. Nothing is lost. You're alive, you have life, this is the biggest gift of Allah. So, in our daily life, when we face any negative thing, a car accident, a sickness, a disease, cancer, tumor, loss of job, loss of loved one, at that moment, we need to talk to our soul, we need to talk to our nafs, our ruh, and say, nothing is lost. I'm still alive. I could have been dead. What is worse than death? Tell me. Is there anything worse than death? Yeah? What? I can't hear you. Car crash. Car crash is worse than death. How? If you die in it, then you're dead. You won't feel anything. Remember one thing, my dear youngster. You can only feel pain so long as you are. You know why some people commit suicide? What's the number one reason? Ask any doctor, physician. What's the number one reason people want to commit suicide? They say, I want to end for the pain and grief. I had it enough. Enough is enough. I'm feeling this so much pain. Let me just take my life. At least I will not feel pain. This is what the philosophy of suicide is. You call these suicide hotlines? No, I didn't call them, but I'm just saying people call. And you ask them, what's the number one reason people give you on the suicide hotline? That they want to, at least the fact that this country has a suicide hotline speaks volumes about how much intelligent they are, that they want to save people. How many Muslim countries have a suicide hotline? Is there a suicide hotline in Saudi Arabia, in Pakistan, in Qatar, in Egypt? It's not big. Oh, people say, oh no, they're Muslim, they're mu'mineen, they don't need to think about suicide. Or yeah? Just do a Google search, you'll find out the rate of suicide in 57 Muslim countries has skyrocketed in the last 5 years. Last 5 years. You think I'm lying? Just go do Google search. Uncle Google, Sheikh Google tells you everything. Just put in suicide Muslim countries. You'll see so many. You'll see the statistics. It's going high. The place that I came from recently, Karachi. In Karachi, in the last 2 years, it has quadrupled. And you know the demographics that's committing suicide? 18 to 25-year-old. Or in some cases, in some cities of Pakistan, it's 13 to 25-year-old. You would think that people, bude, old people will think suicide. Nothing left in my life, let me take my life. No, young people hustling and bustling with youth. People who have a whole life in front of them want to commit suicide and commit suicide. I was about to say that. You took it out of my mouth, brother. Somebody, I don't know, just last night, thanks to social media, everything is viral, Once upon a long, long time, only doctors used to deal with viral things. But now, me and you deal with viral. On your video comes up, social media, WhatsApp, Messenger comes up. Look, somebody commits suicide. Abhi wo mara bhi nahi hai, you have the video in front of you. I mean, the guy just landed on the thing, somebody was filming him, and you have the video in New York City, in New Jersey. Look, somebody commits suicide in Mecca, in Haram. How many of you got the video? How many of you got? Oh, abhi sabko nahi mila. It was so fast. I woke up for suhoor and somebody put in my WhatsApp saying, look, somebody committed suicide last night in Mecca, in Haram. Did you know that? You'll get it pretty soon. It's coming. It's viral. It's coming. What I saw in the video is a person in a black shalwar kameez, a Pakistani guy. See, I was just telling you how much. Pakistani guy who came for Umrah to Mecca, 35-year-old male, father of kids. He jumped from the 3rd floor of the Haram, the Mataf area, and you can see in the video, he climbs up the railing. They have a railing. This is the new area where the Saudi authorities made, and they purposely put a railing, high railing. He jumped up on the railing, and then from there he flies, whoa, and he lands right down in the Mataf. You can actually hear the bang that he hits the floor, and there's blood on the whole white marble. This is what is shocking for me. I'm not shocked from the person committing suicide. I'm more shocked from the person who is sitting there in Mecca, in Haram, and he said, oh, look, I have an opportunity. This is a Facebook moment, Twitter moment, Instagram moment, this moment. Social media has made us a crazy frenzy. Brothers and sisters, we have become, what have we become of? We've become animals, sorry to say, astaghfirullah, Ramadan. We've become animals because we pride on making videos, taking pictures in times of adversity. This person, instead of making video, he should have been calling police. Look, hold him, stop him, do something. Because they have police on every floor of the Mataf area. You can wireless talk, walkie-talkie. Get that person. He is beautifully sitting there making the whole video. It takes a long time for someone to jump from there, from the 3rd floor. But this is a Muslim making a video, and then he says, look, I am the first person who got this video. La hawla wa la. That is possible. We should have the benefit of doubt. We should give the, uzr or the hasana, niyyah of hasana, that maybe that person was not negative. But the issue is not the video. The issue is, this is now happening in the house of Allah, the Baytullah, where somebody has the most peace and tranquility. This is a place of sukoon, tam'anina. Alaysa kadhalik? Don't you go to find sukoon in Mecca, in Kaaba? And somebody's committing suicide over there. This tells you the mindset of the ummah, where we are today. And that's the reason we are discussing this Treaty of Hudaybiyah, how this Treaty of Hudaybiyah was a turning point in the life of Rasulullah ﷺ and a turning point in the ummah. And how Rasulullah ﷺ in this Treaty of Hudaybiyah, he counseled, he advised, he taught. He literally taught step by step, holding finger to the Muslims that look, in times of adversity, do not surrender, do not give up, do not end life, do not think it is the worst of everything. Something that 13 scholars, 13 scientists, 13 psychiatrists, something they wrote now in the last 10 years in Harvard University, 1400 years ago, our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ didn't write it, he showed it. But including myself, we are the worst people because we don't learn from the seerah enough. We don't learn from the seerah tayyibah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We don't learn from the actions and character of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam how mentally strong he was. He did not have to write a book on mental toughness. His one incident of Hudaybiyah taught us volumes about how strong mentally he was. And how strong mentally he made his Sahaba also. That look, rise up on the occasion. Don't delve in the occasion. Don't get sunken by the news. See what happens at the onset of negative news, the moment we get a negative news, the moment doctor tells you you have cancer, the moment doctor tells you you have tumor, the moment doctor tells you we have to amputate, cut your leg because of diabetes, the moment the doctor tells you in that car accident you have become paralyzed, you will not be able to use your legs anymore, the moment we find out that our manager, our supervisor tells us you have no more job, don't come on Monday, the moment this news onset comes in our brain, it decreases our himma. In Arabic language, there is something called himma. Himmatun aliyah. Himma means your willpower, your desire, your gesture. Al-himmatul aliyah. Muslimin, mu'mineen are those people of character who have a very high himma. Himmatun aliyah. They don't have such a low himma. They don't have such a low willpower that at the onset of a negative news, at the release of any negative action, they totally devastate and dissolve. The only thing that dissolves in life is what? And you can't save it. Think about it. What dissolves in life so fast and you can't save it? Time is a relativity, yes. But I'm talking, you cannot see time. This thing you can see in front of your eyes. You're seeing in front of your own eyes and you can't help it. It's dissolving and it's running. Huh? No. Age? No. I told you it's something tangible. You know tangible? You can touch it, feel it, but you can't help it. It's dissolving. Yes? No. Earthquake. Simple. The answer is so simple. Huh? No. In front of you. I put something right here in front of you. It will start dissolving and none of you can save it. Ice, baraf. We can learn so much lesson from just one thing, ice, baraf. You put a block of ice over here, what will happen? It start dissolving. Some of you say, oh brother, put it in the fridge, put it in the refrigerator. But by the time you take it, it's still, the amount that is dissolved, can you bring it back? The amount of water component that got out of that ice, can you bring it back? It's gone, it dissolved, it went on the carpet. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. I am very sorry. I stand corrected. Yes. But melting is also dissolving, no? Okay. So you're melting. In the same way, what is melting, like the brother said, time, and like brother said, age. We are melting. You know you're melting, brother? We are melting. We are melting. When is your birthday? When is your birthday? When is your birthday? Every year we're celebrating what? Birthday. That is one more less year of your life. You've melted away 1 year. So why are you happy? Ah, brother, come. This is my 37th birthday. Come, please. We're going to put 37 carats. Oh, yeah? But guess what? You have melted for 37 years. You don't know how long further you're going to melt. You tell somebody at their birthday party, when they're about to blow the candles, you've melted 37 years. And you maybe got only 3 more weeks to melt. Will you celebrate the birthday? If you tell the person on the day of their birthday when they're celebrating, you have 3 more weeks, 2 more weeks to melt, continue with the party, he'll put the cake in your face. And that is the lesson we learn. In adversity, in calamity, Rasulullah told us, do not sink into that situation. Don't consume your brain, don't consume your mind, don't consume your soul that you think this is the end of life. Rise up from the occasion. Think of it this way. Amazing. One of this author, the psychiatrist, wrote in this book that when you are hit with a calamity, hit with a negative news, think of it the beginning of your life. Allahu Akbar. Something he said now from Harvard University, which Rasulullah told us in Hudaybiyah, 1430 years ago. That when you get the negative news, when you get that accident, when you get that negativity, at that moment think, I am now beginning a new life. Whatever was my life before this negative news, whatever was my life before this incident, that it was a different life. Now it's a new life until my death. because death has not come yet. The moment the doctor says in the air, tumor, cancer, amputation, it is not the end of life. Life is still going on. Like I said, as long as you're alive, you have life. When do we stop feeling pain? When life ends. And that's why people commit suicide. And that's why Allah made suicide haram. You know, I've been a teacher for 20 years, more than 20 years. Every school that I go and teach, first thing kids ask me a lot of times, brother, why is suicide haram? Why Allah made suicide haram? I said, this is a no-brainer question. The one who gave you life made it haram because He's giving you life. If He made suicide halal, you will have toddlers committing suicide. Allah Azim. You have a 2-year-old committing suicide. Let me jump off this. It's halal. Because the one who gave you life, He does not want you to take life. He will take your life when it is decreed. And He wants you to enjoy life. Yes, enjoy life. Life is not bad. How do we enjoy life? We do the things according to the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We live our life according to the actions and the attributes of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We enjoy life. Did Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam enjoy life? Yes, he was enjoying life in Hudaybiyah. He is signing the treaty, so to say. At that moment, he's enjoying life. Ali ibn Abi Talib dropped the pen. He said, I cannot do this. Rasulullah is still enjoying life. He said, no, it's not the end of the world. Let's do this. Let's sign this. Bring the change from this negativity. Because those who sink into the negative news, into the negative action, they lose life. And those who take cognizant and take stock of the negative news and then re-strategize, reformulate their brain and rethink their idea, how can I get out of this? They enjoy life. They come out of that negativity. And when you come out of negativity, positivity comes. You know, psychiatrists say in this article that when you go into depression, when you go in a recycling depression mode, there are certain hormones that begin to secrete in your mind. I forget the name exactly what it is. That hormone becomes in your bloodstream level. And that hormone then further makes you more sad, more depressed, and you feel like committing suicide. But the same psychiatrist said in the same article, at that moment of negativity, if you don't go into depression, if you just change your mental toughness, your mental positivity, if you just change your brain and put positive thoughts, your brain, adrenaline, begins to secrete adrenaline. You know, adrenaline begins to secrete. It's a special kind of hormone that the pituitary gland secretes. It only secretes when you think positive, when you think in the right direction. Rasulullah was signing the treaty, he was thinking in the right direction. He knew what's going to come forward. Allah will make him victorious. Allah will give him nusrah. And that's why immediately Allah revealed the ayah on his camel. Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. Ya Muhammad you did the right thing. You did the best thing. And you are victorious. Don't be grieved. Don't be sad. You have not signed on a death warrant. You have signed on a treaty that will bring fortune for the ummah. So I conclude with this, that this whole series we did Ramadan, these 3 Saturdays, except for the last Saturday, the purpose of this whole series was, how can we learn turning point? How can we turn our lives? Ramadan is the best time to change our lives. Ramadan is the best time to turn our life from negative to positive, psychologically, psychiatrically, emotionally, and also from Aqidah point of view. Whatever we were not doing before this Ramadan in terms of ibadah, in terms of zikr, azkar, in terms of hasanat, in terms of amal salihat, whatever we were not doing, we make a turning point in our life, especially in these Laylatul Qadr, these nights. That, oh Allah, I make a wa'ad, I make a promise. Oh Allah, I make a commitment, I make an agreement with you, oh Allah, that from today, from tonight, I will be a different Jawad, I will be a different Ali, I will be a different Muhammad, I will be a different Salman, I will be a different Fatima and Salma and whatever. Not the last one, a new one. And I will physically turn around my life. That from first Shawwal, people will say, who are you? What are you? You look different. You behave different. You act different. You interact different. What happened? Yes, I had the best Ramadan of my lifetime. I had the best Laylatul Qadr of my last lifetime. This is turning point. Turning our lives for the better. Because we still have life left in us to live. We should be feeling blessed that Allah gave us one more Ramadan. Who knows, maybe this is the last Ramadan for many of us. Do we know? Do you know for sure this is your last Ramadan? No. So make the best of it. Make the best of these last nights of ibadah. That, oh Allah, I don't know if you will give me next Ramadan or not. Let me make this the most positive Ramadan, the positive turning point in my life, so that if you take my life, oh Allah, before next Ramadan, I meet you like nafsul mutma'inna. Ya ayyatuha nafsul mutma'inna, irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. That is the goal, that is the vision, that is the objective and the mission of our life. That we become what? Nafsul mutma'inna. How do we become nafsul mutma'inna? This is what we need to know. That, inshallah, if we have life, then we'll do it some other day. How can we become nafsul mutma'inna? Imam Ghazali rahimahullah, in his kitab Ihya Ulumuddin, he gave 3-step process. I've run out of time, so some other day, maybe inshallah, we'll come inshallah. You have to leave something for the next time. This is the trailer, coming next Ramadan, inshallah. Ramadan of 2019 or 1440, inshallah. Or maybe in these last nights, if I come up, I know tonight there is a night of Quran. So if I have enough stamina, I'll come tonight, then I can give you inshallah. If you come tonight also. So Jazakallah khair, if there's any question or comments, we'll make dua inshallah. Yes, brother. It is not a good thing. But at the same time, I cannot give a fatwa because that's not my topic. My topic is turning point from the Seerah Rasul. But yes, in the spirit of the topic that we have today, which is Seerah, in light of Seerah, the question I pose to people, whenever somebody asks me this question, I answer back by saying, if Rasul was alive today, will he accept this? Will he allow this? If Rasul was alive today, will he allow this? And the answer that comes in your heart, that is your answer. Because Rasul said, Istafti qalbak. A person came, a Badu Arabi came to Rasul and he said, give me a fatwa on this issue. And Rasul said, Istafti qalbak. Ask your heart. Your heart will never give you a negative or wrong information. जिसको हम कहते हैं ना उर्दू में ज़मीर, अपने ज़मीर से पूछे, क्या सेल्फी सही है? Selfie bana. Zamir will not give you a wrong information. You know I'm doing something wrong. You know oh no, I shouldn't do it. But let me take it because I have to put it on Instagram and Facebook. Because the world has become like this. Oh, you went for Umrah? You didn't tell us. Why should I tell you? Oh, you went for Hajj? You didn't send any pictures from there. Any selfies, groupies or things. And now there's a new thing, groupie. The whole group is there and you have this big arm. And I always say this. You reminded me of a question. Somebody asked me, how will we know Imam Mahdi has come in the world? Somebody asked me this question. I said, you will know before I will know even. I said, you will know before me and you will know. He said, how? How, brother? How are you saying that? I said, what is happening? Someone committing suicide in Haram. Here in Suhoor time, you're waking up. He committed suicide after his Isha. And here you are in your Suhoor time, you're getting the video. So now you tell me how you will not know Imam Mahdi is here. And then the question it comes up, will there be selfies with Imam Mahdi? Don't worry. That question will be answered forever. He will tell you whatever he will tell you and then you will have to follow because he's the Imam of the Waqt. He is the leader of the time and people cannot disobey him. Rasulullah said, when you know that you are living in the time of Imam Mahdi, even if you have to go on your head, go and be in his place. Sar ke bal jana pade to jao, but be with him. Leave everything, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, leave everything, drop down and run to the place once you have found out that he is here on earth. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر فاستغفروه إنه الغفور الرحيم. إن شاء الله نقول ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليه من قول وعمل. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليه من قول وعمل. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليه من قول وعمل. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليه من قول وعمل. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار والحقنا بالصالحين يا رب العالمين. وصلى الله على خلق محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه برحمتك الراحمين.